Oh, look at that.
Anybody else want a fork?
Look at that. Fork and a knife. Oh.
We ate with our hands last time.
Woo, yes, you can. Look at that. Yep, you can pick it up. Look at that. Ah. This is living.
Oh, the extra cheese.
All right. Well, thanks for coming over and helping make a Chicago-style stuffed pizza as opposed to deep dish. Is there a difference?
Yeah. So in a deep dish pizza, you've got just the pie. Think of a pie. Think of an apple pie versus a pumpkin pie. In a deep dish pizza, it's like a pumpkin pie where it's just crust on the bottom and then the filling fills it in. Whereas a stuffed pizza is going to be more like an apple pie where you've got the base of crust, ingredients in the middle, which would be your cheese and toppings, even though they're not really toppings, they're in the middle. And then you've got another layer of dough on top, like an apple pie. And on top of that goes your sauce and a little bit more Parmesan cheese.
So there you have it. All right, so you're going to take us through your version. Oh, wait a second. We have you on this particular show because you've worked at Giordano's, a major Chicago pizza parlor, for how long?
About 7 years during high school and college.
Okay, cool. And we're not ripping them off, right?
No, it's a little bit different.
Okay, we're gonna make your version. So why don't you go ahead and take us through the process here?
Sure. So first, you're gonna start with making your dough. The process is you make your dough, and then it needs to rise, and you can make your sauce, and then your dough goes through another process and needs to rise again. So you've got time to make other parts of the pizza while your dough is rising. So the first thing you're gonna do is the dough, and I've got in the bowl already here. I've got 3 1/4 cups of flour and half a cup of yellow cornmeal. So that's already in the bowl, and in here I've got 1 1/4 teaspoons of sea salt, a tablespoon of sugar, 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast, and then we're gonna mix in. Once we blend this together, we're gonna mix in some warm melted butter. So first, we're gonna dump in these ingredients I just told you, and then we're gonna grab a whisk and mix these dry ingredients together. So it doesn't take much, just about that. And they're all mixed together. So now we're going to attach this into the mixer. With our dough hook attachment here. Put this down, lock it in place, and we put it on a slow speed. And you could also, you don't even need the whisk, you can mix it like that if you wanted to. So now we're going to pour in the warm water and warm butter.
All right, so you melted how much butter?
I melted 4 tablespoons of butter.
Okay.
And we're using 1 1/4 cups of warm water.
Okay. And you don't want it hot. You don't want either one of those hot because...
You want the butter melted but not too hot. And same with the water, not too hot because you don't want to kill the active yeast that you put in. So now this is going to mix for 5 to 10 minutes.
At that speed for 5 to 10 minutes?
At that speed. Until it's mixed well and kind of comes off the sides easily. So our dough is about done. So what we're going to do now is grab about a 6 to 8 quart bowl here. And you're just going to layer it in a bit of olive oil so the dough doesn't stick to it.
Why such a big bowl? It's huge.
Because it is going to expand a lot when it rises.
Okay.
And you know the dough is done here when it's not sticking to the sides.
The sides of the mixer.
The sides of the mixer and the hook here comes off real nice.
That does come off. Okay.
So.
Nice. So you sprinkled
your dough.
Okay, cool. You sprinkled the bowl.
With olive oil.
Do you have to rub it around inside, or you just...
So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna roll this dough into a ball here. It already kind of is a ball, but just need it a bit with your hand. And then you're gonna roll it around in your olive oil you put in the bowl. Cover it completely. Use your hands to cover it all.
So you're coating the dough plus the sides of the bowl.
Dough plus the sides of the bowl. And once you got that, you can just plop it right in the center. And then now you're just going to cover with foil, aluminum foil or tin foil. And it's going to rise for about an hour or two. And then you just want to leave it in a warm place. I think room temperature is fine. That's what I did last time.
All right.
And that's your dough.
Okay.
So now we're making the sauce that's going to go on the top. And what you're going to need is a 4 to 5 quart bowl here. And we're going to take 28 ounces of peeled tomatoes. Pour them in here. Then we're just going to softly squeeze them up with our hands. Start throwing in butter and oil into a saucepan here. You're going to want a 3-quart saucepan about. Over medium heat, we're going to do this.
All right. Go for it. All right. So you got a 3-quart saucepan?
Yep. And then we're going to throw in a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of olive oil. And let this melt a little bit. All right, now we're just about ready to throw in the onion and spices.
How much onion?
We're going to need about half an onion. Onion of your choice. Today I'm using a yellow onion. All right.
And was there garlic in there as well?
We're going to add garlic in a minute.
Okay.
So you got your onion in there. Now we're going to throw in our spices. And that's going to be 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, half a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, and a 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper powder. So we're going to plop this on in. Start mixing. Okay, next we're going to throw in 3 cloves of garlic. And you're just going to heat those up until they're nice and fragrant. Now we're going to mix in our tomatoes we mashed up. And 1 teaspoon of sugar. Thank you. Now we're going to bring this to a simmer. And once you've got that to a simmer, you're going to turn the heat back down and stir for about 30 minutes. All right, so now we're at a nice simmer. So now we're just going to turn the heat down to low. And we're just going to keep mixing for about half an hour. And then once you're done with it, you can pretty much just leave it out until you're ready to put it on top of the pizza when it's ready to bake.
All right. So while the sauce is simmering right now, I'm going to make the cheese that's going to go into our Chicago stuffed pizza. So I have 2 pounds of brick mozzarella that we're going to shred. I have a pound of, a little bit less than a pound, well, about a pound of Parmesan that we're going to grate with our mixer. So let's go ahead and start that up. Using brick mozzarella because you can go ahead and buy the store-bought pre-shredded, but there is a coating that they put on it to prevent it from sticking because, you know, cheese is sticky. So they coat it with stuff so it stays shredded and it's very appealing to the consumer. So we're going to shred this up and then we're going to do, we'll grate the Parmesan after this. Bugger's getting a little jammed up. our last piece. All right. Beautiful, freshly shredded mozzarella. All right, now onto the Parmesan. Different cutter. Mm. So we do the cheese first. We're going to swap out the attachments. And then we're going to make our own homemade Italian sausage. We're making our own Italian sausage. So what I have here is premium pork. And then from the butcher, I have what's called just bacon tips, ends. This is hardwood smoked. So I have about 2 pounds of premium pork and just under a pound of bacon tips and ends. We're going to put that in the grinder. Then we're going to add salt, white pepper, and fennel. So the premium pork is going to give us that really good taste. And then the fat from the bacon is going to make it even more flavorful. Let's mix up the rest by hand. There you go. All right, so we're going to add some sea salt to taste. Probably a teaspoon fennel. Teaspoon, a little bit of white pepper. About a quarter. All right, so I added a little bit more fennel, and now I'm going to add some Italian seasoning. All to taste. And then, like I said, probably a little too big. That's why you don't need a whole bunch. And these we're going to brown. In a cast iron pan. I want to brown them before we put it in the pizza because it will not cook in the pizza. All right, you guys get the idea.
All right, so our tomato sauce is just about reduced here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this off the heat. We are going to add a couple tablespoons of basil. Sprinkle that in there. And another tablespoon of olive oil. And mix that in. And now this is ready to just sit until we are ready to put it on the pizza itself to cook.
Right, I have to correct myself. So I shredded mozzarella and I shredded Romano. I believe I said Parmesan, but this is Romano. Yep. This was the original size. I kind of spread them apart, made them a little bit smaller. You don't need a whole bunch. You will end up with more than you need for the pizza, but like I said, you can put that away. You can freeze it. have it for breakfast tomorrow in the morning. Anyhow, so I am going to, the cast iron pan is heating up right now. I'm going to brown these. And then once I do that, I'll take them off, drain it of any fat because you don't want any of the grease into the pizza because obviously it'll make it soggy. Done browning up the sausage, Italian sausage. So I did add a little bit more fennel. You could add caraway seed if you want as well. And I added a little bit more Italian seasoning as I was browning it. Again, you want to make sure that it's cooked before it goes into the pizza, because once you put it in a stuffed pizza, it won't cook. Correcting myself again. This is Romano, mozzarella, and now I'm gonna grate don't need much Parmesan. So, thanks for coming to visit.
Yeah, sure. Anytime.
It's been an enjoyable vacation.
So here we're gonna do step 2 of our dough here. So we're gonna take our dough here that's risen.
Ooh, can you give us a close-up of that? Okay.
Take this on out. We put a bunch of flour on the cutting board, on the roller. So what we're doing here is just gently massaging out any bubbles. And what we're going to do here is we're going to flatten this pretty much to the shape of this board. And once we have that done, we're going to butter it up.
So you mean to tell me that dough is going to be enough for this 12-inch cast iron? So you're going to do the bottom crust?
Yes.
Put the cheese in and the sausage?
Yes.
And you're going to put another crust on top?
Yes.
And that's enough of it?
It is just enough.
All right.
Or it's enough for 2 9-inch small ones, but we're making one large 12-inch, 2 inches thick. I think. Alright, now we're about flat enough, rectangular enough. So now we're going to just lather this in another 4 tablespoons of butter. Alright.
What, room temperature?
Room temperature butter so you can spread it nicely.
So you just spreading that out with a knife?
Well, I'm not sure how else. I didn't have a clean spatula already.
We would too nuts.
I would have used a spatula, but it's covered in sauce, and we'll probably use it again for the sauce. So.
Okay.
We need to scrape any out to get it on the pizza. Yeah, I would have definitely picked up a spatula if we had one clean. I looked over at it and saw the sauce.
So anyone pretty much can make this pizza, except we went a little bit above and beyond shredding our own cheese and grinding our own sausage. What would you do if you didn't have a grinder at home for the sausage? Just buy bulk stuff at the store?
Why not?
All right.
I mean, depends how much effort you want to put into it, but if you're going to this length,
it's going to be worth it.
All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to roll this up into a roll. And if you're going to make 2 smaller ones, what you're going to do right now is cut it in half.
Oh.
And you're going to have 2 separate dough balls that'll be for your 2 pizzas. But for us, we are making one big pie. And all we're going to do now is, once I got this back in a bowl, lather it up in the oil again, cover it in the tin foil in the same bowl, and we're going to put it in the refrigerator this time for about another hour.
Oh, refrigerator, okay. Oh, you had oil already in the bowl?
It's the same bowl. Yep.
Okay.
Same bowl as before.
So you didn't have to add oil?
No, it's still pretty oily in here.
Okay.
I mean, if you have to, you have to, but...
All right, what's the next step?
All right, now we're building the pizza.
Building the pizza. Okay, cool. So it's been in the refrigerator now for an hour.
For an hour.
Okay.
Cutting board. I think what we'll do first here is butter up the pan. I'm just going to take some butter we got here. Get the whole bottom and the sides, because that crust is going to touch everything.
Turn the light on.
Right. All right. So what we're going to do here and that'll be
2/3 or
about 2/3 of it, yeah. Start with that. We'll add more if we need to. It might take you a couple times to get the size right. It's hard to eyeball, at least for me. Alright. No, it's not. It's kind of going back into a rectangle, but that's fine. Stretch it out a bit more. Pretty good. We're going to stretch it out a bit more, though. So where you've got excess dough, you can sort of form it to fill in where you might not have enough.
And you don't have to be perfect. Right. Alright, so now you're making the crust that'll top it off?
Yes. Alright, so now what makes this a stuffed pizza is the top crust. And we'll just get it ready before we put the ingredients in. This layer does not need to be thick at all. You're going to want a few holes in it, but we'll do that once it's on the pizza. So you're going to want that center part to have some ventilation so your pizza doesn't explode.
So it's for ventilation?
Mm-hmm. Alright, that should be a good starting point for now. Alright, so now what we're going to do is load all of our ingredients into the dish here. So, depending on what toppings you're going to use, you're going to want to put high-fat proteins such as bacon or salami on the top because all the oils that come out of it, or it'll get your crust really greasy if you put it at the bottom. But for regular toppings like sausage and whatnot, you're going to put that on the bottom and then cover it with cheese, and then you're going to put the dough on top. We can just throw our sausage in here. Spread it out.
And you want them like little meatballs, not crumbled, right?
You can have it crumbled if you'd like it that way, but I think it tastes better as a meatball. So, all right. So now you're going to want to use, well, it's up to you, but you're going to want to use mostly mozzarella. And when you do this, all you have to keep in mind is that you need enough room on top to put the crust on and then the sauce. So load it up with as much cheese as you want, but keep in mind that you need the space on top. Add some Romano to it now. A bit more mozzarella. And we can load it up more. And might add a bit more, but heat that. We got to preheat the oven to 475 degrees, which is quite high, but it's 2-inch thick pizza, so it's going to bake for about 45 minutes. Add a little more. Alright, I think that's just about enough. Because we got to have enough wall to hold in the sauce. Alright. Another word of caution, if you're going to put veggies like spinach in it, which is really good, it's going to make it very watery and it's going to cook a bit different. So it might be soggy to you, but it'll still be delicious. And we're going to put our top on like that and crimp down the edges just with your fingers. All right, now we need to cut a couple of holes. There we go. Just about 4 or 5 holes. Spread them evenly. Okay. Now, you should be ready for the sauce. So the sauce I've just kept on top of the range since we made it. And you're just going to dump that right on. Great spatula. All right. We'll flatten this out. Get it nice and even.
You put the Parmesan now or at the end?
Yeah, right now we're going to put it on. All right.
That looks amazing.
Grated it, might as well use it all. So you've got mozzarella and Romano in the middle and then topped with Parmesan on top of the sauce. All right, now all we do is wait for the oven to finish warming up and we'll throw it in.
All right, I gotta say that looks amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, it's just about ready to go in. The oven's warmed up to 475. And we're going to put this in to 45 minutes to an hour. Somewhere in there. Once you see that crust is nice and golden. And that's all. We just wait now.
Nice.
And she's looking plenty done.
Oh boy. Look at that. That is looking good. All right. Look at that. Look at that. That is a piece of artwork. All right, so now you recommend that we let this sit
Let
for
it sit for a little bit.
10 minutes, let everything set up.
Yeah. Let her finish up.
Nice. Chicago stuffed pizza, 12 inches.
12 inches.
All right, and depth.
Should be about 2. Oh, 2.5.
Nice. That's a piece of art. That's a piece of art. All right, so we're going to plate this up. Nothing like Chicago stuffed pizza in the Northwoods. Look at that. That is magic. As always, thanks for watching. Bring your best and have the best day of your life because you're worth it. Oh, look at that.
Anybody else want a fork?
Look at that. Fork and a knife. Oh.
We ate with our hands last time.
Woo. Yes, you can. Look at that. Yep, you can pick it up. Look at that. Ah. This is living.
Oh, the extra cheese.